Hello and welcome to Empire Builders, the place for entrepreneurs, business owners and experts who want to build an epic empire. I'm Nick James and thanks for joining me here today. Hey, how you doing? Nick James here. Today I'm excited to be joined by the founder of ClickFunnels, finally coming back to the UK after a big hiatus, Mr. Russell Brunson. Thanks for joining us. How are we doing?
I'm doing great, Nick. Good to see you again. How you been?
Yeah, really good. So I know you do a lot of speaking, a lot of events. You haven't been to the UK for, I think you were saying 9-10 years maybe, since you came over. What can people expect at Expert Empires in October? What can they expect from you?
First off, I'm so excited to be coming out there. Like you said, I think the second year of ClickFunnels, I came out and it haven't been back since. And so like 8 or 9 years. And we were trying like 3 times, we tried to plan this. And then there was like some whole worldwide pandemic that happened and some other things. We keep missing it. So I'm excited to finally come out. First off, because I love the people in UK and like that whole area. Like just, I love the people and serving them. And also I feel like what's happening in the market, like your guys' area of the world is growing right now. I think more and more people are going digital. They're growing business online. It's like the right, perfect time right now to really go and start sharing some things. And so that's why I'm excited to come out there. We're gonna be sharing some stuff that I haven't had a chance to even talk a lot about. Some of the stuff I'll be sharing with like here in the United States. This is stuff like I've been sharing in my inner circles and things like that. Some of the future, where things are going with digital marketing and stuff. And this is gonna be the first time I had a chance to really talk about most of the stuff publicly, which is gonna be so much fun to come hang out with you guys and just share some new ideas, new thoughts, and hopefully give everybody an unfair advantage, help them grow their companies even faster online. So it's gonna be awesome.
It is. I'm really excited. So, by the way, if you haven't yet got your ticket to Expert Empires, 3rd to the 5th of October, there'll be a link or a button somewhere around this video. The sooner you buy your ticket, the better deal you're going to get. The longer you leave it, the more expensive it's going to become. And quite frankly, ordinarily at our events, Expert Empires, typically the top ticket levels access all areas, which gives you access to speaker lounge, lunches, etc. Those tickets sell out real fast. So make sure you click the button somewhere around this video or the link that's with it. And make sure you get your ticket booked up right now. Russell, when you talk about what's working right now in the US, and I do think what's interesting in the UK and our market, it always feels to me, I can say this because I'm a Brit, right? Always feels to me that we're a few steps behind the US in terms of like digital marketing and what's working. So it's great for us to learn from people like you and go, what's working right now in the US? Because then we can get that unfair advantage. We can be ahead of the curve, as it were. So what are the patterns, what are the trends you're seeing right now in digital marketing that are working in 2024?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things. So obviously one of the biggest things we've noticed, I'm sure you guys noticed too, is ad costs have gone up a lot over the last couple of years. Like it's been higher and higher. And so because of that, so many businesses have fallen apart and like just, weren't able to exist and have gone bankrupt because of that. And the businesses that are winning are the ones who are really understanding like a lot of the fundamentals of direct response marketing, like really going back to the fundamentals of like, in fact, my mentor who I learned most of my stuff from initially was Dan Kennedy. And Dan Kennedy has this saying, he says all the time, he says, whoever can spend the most money to acquire a customer wins. And so for me, it's like, well, how do you do that, right? Like you can say that, but what does that actually look like? And so for us on our side, we've been focusing a lot on that. Okay, how do we create not just a funnel, but like, what are the funnels we need to create? Acquire a customer. A lot of times we lose money when we acquire a customer, but then how do we quickly make the money back and how do we profit from those people? And so just the way we structure our funnels has evolved. Also, it's like learning how to really speak to the audience, who they are is a big key as well. And AI has helped a lot with that. We've been testing some things right now where literally somebody can come into a funnel and they put in their contact information and we can find out who that person is in real time. And then we can like rewrite the headlines on a landing page based on who that person is, right? So let's say, hey, this person, is very successful. Whatever information we have about them, write a headline specifically for them, and it'll write the headline for that person. So like, if you go to a page and I go to a page and someone else, the copy can be completely different because AI, like in real time, can change things, which is fascinating because typically with digital marketing, you try to create the best version of a page that's hopefully going to convert the most amount of people. Versus when you're face to face with somebody selling, I can ask you questions, I can get to know you, and then I can customize my presentation based on who you are. And right now, that's what's kind of starting to happen with digital marketing is that because of AI, because of these things, we can figure out who someone is and then change things on the page based on exactly who that person is, which makes conversions go up, which makes your ad costs dramatically drop down. And I don't know, it's just a really, really fun game. And then we figured out, like, again, from Dan Kennedy, like, okay, now that we know this, what are the things we can add into our funnels? Like, obviously there's upsells and downsells, but also like what are all the other things we can do to increase how much money we make from every single person coming through? And what I found is when you understand 3 or 4 of these little principles, put it together, it gives you the ability where you can go and you can outspend all your competitors. You can get more traffic. You can like, wherever else is struggling and like drowning, you can go and just grab the entire market share and bring them to you, which is so much fun. So those are some of the things we'll be sharing and going deep into when I have a chance to come out to Expert Empires here. And we're not that far away, a couple months from now, which is going to be so fun.
Yeah, and by the way, I remember hearing that from Dan Kennedy that ultimately whoever can afford to spend the most to acquire a customer wins. I remember I heard that from him 15 years ago, and it's so true. Question for you, because I know many of our audience, of course, have 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure businesses, and I think some of what you just mentioned is going to be so relevant for them. What if somebody's in a position where they don't have an ad budget, they're not spending money on advertising, they're not maybe at that stage in their growth yet? What would you suggest for them? How does that become relevant for them? What advice would you give to them?
Yes. It was fun. I'm going to have a couple times to present at the event. So I'm going to go through, some beginner stuff, but also some very advanced stuff. So no matter where you're coming in, I got some cool things to share with you. People who are brand new beginners, it's interesting. One of the guys in my inner circle, and he's actually speaking at our virtual event coming up, his name's Richmond Din, and he started inventing this new concept. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen, like, everyone's doing these online challenges nowadays, which are great. And online challenges are amazing if you can get people to show up. And he had this thing where he couldn't get, he had a bunch of clients who didn't have a following, they didn't have an email list, and so they couldn't do an actual challenge. And so he started doing these things. He calls them tiny challenges. And it's crazy, where he basically does a one-on-one challenge. So he'll go out there and say, hey, I'm doing a challenge. I'm going to help you do, and then whatever his business is, help you lose weight, make money, whatever. And then people come in and then they sign up for this one-on-one challenge, and they do 5 different sessions. And at the end of the last session, then he upgrades people to their paid program. Right now, his students are getting, on average, like 70% of people who do a one-on-one challenge end up buying the high ticket thing on the next step. And so what's cool is if you can get you just need one person to do a free challenge, you can take someone through the process. So it's crazy though. He told me that. And we have a group right now of our students who are taking through this process to help them, because again, it's the simplest, easiest way to get started. But then on my side, I was like, I have a business that does really well. I said, can I use this concept as well? And so I took his idea of these tiny challenges. I did a podcast episode. I was like, hey, I'm going to do a tiny challenge. For anyone who wants to do it with me, it's $100,000, and we'll do 5 one-on-one calls. And at the end of the 5th call, I'm going to sell you something really expensive, like $1 million thing, just so you know. And I just did a podcast episode about it. I didn't promote it other than that. And 2 people wired me. Well, one person wired me $100,000 the next day. And one person actually came and dropped off $100,000 cash for me and said, okay, I want you to. And so I've been going through this, just 5 one-on-one calls with them. In the end, we're going to make them an offer, a very expensive offer. And they all know it's coming and they're excited for it. So it's kind of a cool technique for someone who's just getting started. Like, you don't always have to have tons of traffic. Like, you can literally have just one person and you can launch an entire business. And I'll walk through some of these different strategies. Like, here's the fastest ways to get started quickly. Here's ways that don't take any risk or any investment. But then after you have something that works, we always say, after you nail it, you figure out how to nail it, then here's how you scale it. Here's how you take it to 7, 8, 9 figures a year and beyond. And so we're going to cover both sides of that at the event, which will be a lot of fun, and hopefully give everybody who shows up just something really unique to think about and be able to take and implement into their business.
I love it. For me, that, like, by the way, I did not know that you were going to talk about tiny challenges. I'd never heard of a tiny challenge until 5 minutes ago when you just mentioned it. And that makes so much sense to me. These are the gems, these are the nuggets, these are the little things that you'll learn from Russell, from other speakers at Expert Empires. And one of the things I dislike is, or I know that a lot of people struggle with, is they see these big challenges, they see people with big email lists, or they see people that are running large scale events, and they want to achieve that. But the gap from where they are now to there is so huge. It's hard to bridge that. And what I love is, I always say, go one-to-one, whether that's a sales conversation, whether that's delivery of service, whatever it might be, go one-to-one first before you go one-to-many, before you look to scale. And I'd never thought of taking the challenge framework or model and adapting it as a one-on-one. It's absolute genius. So thanks for sharing. And there's going to be a lot more of that and things like that at Expert Empires, of course. I'd love to know, what's the biggest thing, or what are some of the biggest things you've noticed that aren't working anymore? Like, what's changed and you've gone, that thing there, that strategy, that approach, that tactic just doesn't work the way it used to. And so you got to embrace something new. What have you noticed has lived its life, it's run its course, it's time to move on?
It's interesting because, and this is something that if everyone understands this, it'll give you the ability to always be successful in your advertising, your marketing. So what happens is something new comes out, right? And the reason why it works is because it's a pattern interrupt. I think about this social media, right? Someone gets their phone and they're on social media, they're scrolling through, and everyone's kind of doing the same thing, right? So like this pattern keeps appearing. And eventually, because everyone's doing something similar, they become blind to it, right? And then somebody comes with something completely radically different. It's this pattern interrupt. It's like, oh, this is the new thing. And it starts working because it's different. It's a pattern interrupt. It starts working. And then all of a sudden everybody sees it and they all copy it. And soon the pattern interrupt actually becomes the pattern and then it stops working again, right? And so what's interesting is that I see this over here, and I'm not sure if it's the same where you guys are at or not, but there's a couple big influencers who are doing very specific things, and now it's like the entire like news feed on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere you go, it's like everyone's doing the exact same thing. And so it's been fun for me is like I've been in this game now. I've been doing this for 22, 23 years. It's been a long time. What I'm doing is I'm actually trying to go back in time and remember what was the pattern interrupt that worked a year ago that no one's doing anymore, or 2 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, and trying to go backwards, because whatever's working right now, it's quickly will stop working because everyone starts copying it. Everyone starts doing like the speed for everyone to kind of copy and model everybody is so fast nowadays. And so I'm always going back, like, what's the new pattern interrupt? And it's usually something that's either in a different industry or it's something that worked 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and backwards. And so that's one of the big things is even going to like, think about your biggest influencer, someone you follow that you really look at and respect, go to their feed and then scroll back 2 years and look what they're doing and then try those things. Like that's what I'm doing right now. And it's been crazy. Some of the little things that we're doing. And people are like, where'd you come up with that idea? And I was like, he did it 4 years ago and now I'm doing it today. And so that's the biggest thing is like, don't always look at what's working right now and just model it because that's currently the pattern and everyone's doing it. Therefore, it's going to be less effective as going back in time and figuring out what are the things people forgot about that used to be the pattern interrupt. And I'm going to bring those things back and start using those as well.
Love it. What a great little idea. Find the people who you follow, scroll back 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, see what they're doing then. That's a great tip. I talk a lot about a lot of different marketing tactics, but like direct mail is a great example. And of course, you and I both being students of Dan Kennedy, I remember doing his direct mail course, like, oh man, that must have been like 15 years ago. It was incredible. And I still use a lot of the principles that I learned then now. And I don't know what it's like in the US, but not very, very few people in the UK are using direct mail for marketing purposes, which is why it works so well, because it's a pattern interrupt. No one else is doing it. So look, I'm really excited. Russell, so excited to have you coming over to Expert Empires, 3rd, 4th, 5th of October. So as Russell did mention, he's actually speaking 2 days. So he's presenting on the 3rd and the 4th of October. We don't normally have that from a headline speaker. So he's been incredibly generous with his time. We've also got opportunities for you to get additional up close and personal support mentoring with Russell via the VIP dinner that we're hosting. So go check out all the different options we've got available on tickets. We've got a general ticket, general admission. You can get in the room. I try and make it as affordable as possible. And of course, we've got some really exciting opportunities. If you want to invest more aggressively in your ticket, in your experience, then, you get the chance to meet and connect with and get support and ask questions of Russell and of the other speakers. Look, this is a big claim. This will be the greatest business event the UK has ever seen. I'm committing to making that happen. I've done that by bringing Russell. We've got the amazing Susie Ashworth headlining, Jess Cunningham, myself, and an array of other amazing speakers. It's going to be incredible. If you haven't already got your ticket, click the button or the link somewhere around this video. The sooner you get your ticket, the better deal you're going to get. This event will sell out. There's no question. I mean, Russell hasn't been to an event in the UK for 9 years. So just the fact that Russell's headlining means that this event's going to be sold out in record time. I'm so excited to be hosting it. So Russell, thank you so much. Final thoughts. What would you like to say to your audience and your fans in the UK?
Well, I'm excited to come hang out with you guys and spend some time. It's been way too long, and bringing some of my boys out there with me too. So it's gonna be really fun for us to travel your country a little bit, but also spend time with you guys. And like I said, I'll be there for 2 days, hanging out, having fun. And I also put together a bonus. Are you cool if I give everyone a bonus who gets a ticket?
Of course. Yeah, that's fine.
I was thinking today, I was like, what would be a cool, like a unique bonus? And we have a product, and this is the product that this is not like, some of the people have these fake things. Like we actually sell this product for $2,000. Some of you guys know Dan Kennedy was my mentor. I know some of you worked with a lot as well. I had a chance a couple of years ago to buy Dan Kennedy's company. And so I had a chance to basically work with him really closely over the last couple of years. And when I bought the company, they sent me this hard drive with like everything Dan ever said ever. And so I was going through and I'm finding all this stuff, and like it was really special. In fact, I still, when I get bored, I go back in, I try to find these old Dan Kennedy things that are lost. But there were 2 courses that he did back in the day that I think are my favorite. One was called Personality and Copy, which is how to use personality in your writing, your speaking, your social media, all the kind of stuff. Basically, like how do you turn yourself into a superhero, right? He talks a lot about comic books, how they create their characters and stuff, and then how you can do that in your life. And they did another event. It was a 3-day event. Bill Glazer said this was the best event that Dan Kennedy ever did. It was called the Influential Writing Workshop. And it was teaching you how to create your stories and a whole bunch. Anyway, it was amazing. So I found those 2 courses. And then I had done 2 courses on story selling and persuasion as well. So I took all those together and we turned it into a book. And this is what the physical copy looks like. It's this huge fat book, but it's a multimedia book. So when you open inside of it, there's actually QR codes. And so you scan the QR code, and if there's a video of me or Dan teaching the event, you can watch the event, or you can read the cleaned up transcripts. Anyway, we sell this book for $2,000, but I'm going to give anybody who gets a ticket, I'll give you guys a digital copy of this book. And again, you can read it, you can scan the QR codes, you can watch the videos, but it's 2 of Dan Kennedy's best events he ever did and 2 of my best events to get all put together into this really cool multimedia book called Magnetic Story Selling. So it's one of my favorite things we've ever put together. It's a collab between me and Dan Kennedy, and it's my favorite thing. So I thought, if I'm coming to UK, I want to blow your guys' minds. You go through this stuff before we show up, and you will be masters of telling your stories in a way that persuade people and get them to move, get people to come towards you. And if you have that information before we show up, we'll be able to do a lot more fun, a lot more work together when we all get there in person. So I hope that's cool if I offer that bonus for you guys.
Mate, that's amazing. By the way, full disclosure, I'd messaged Russell before and said, hey, it'd be cool if you could do something as a thank you for people that buy tickets. I didn't know he was going to do that, like straight up, until you just mentioned it. I didn't know anything about it. And that is unbelievable. That is incredible. I'm so excited. And, that's just another reason why everyone watching this should go get yourself a ticket. Like I said, that's for all ticket levels. So we're going to gift that story selling book course, all of that great material from Russell, from Dan. Dan's a legend. If you haven't studied Dan and you're in marketing, like you've got to get in and study some of his amazing training, amazing content. And that starts with this story selling bundle, I'm going to call it, that you're putting together. So Russell, that's incredibly generous. Thank you so much. Really excited. Get your ticket by clicking the button or the link somewhere around this video, and we will see you 3rd, 4th, 5th of October at Expert Empires in London.
I'm excited. We'll see you guys soon.
Thank you so much for listening to Empire Builders. Please subscribe, leave us a review on Apple, on Spotify, on other platforms, and share the love, tell your friends. Remember, till next time, the more you connect, the more you collect.